Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro gaming video. As I'm sure you've seen by now, Destiny 2 has a new high-impact, high DPS output sniper rifle known as the Whisper of the Worm. Prior to this sniper, the previous DPS king in this game was DARCI, narrowly edging out Sleeper Simulant for best DPS in the game. Taking a closer look at the Whisper of the Worm sniper rifle, you can see that it comes with fitted stock as well as mulligan. Missing a shot with this weapon has a chance to return ammo directly to the magazine. Armor-piercing rounds, which overpenetrates targets and does extra damage to shielded enemies. Polygonal rifling, which gives you increased recoil control by the way of added stability. And lastly, we have white nail, which increases your precision damage and also makes it so that if you rapidly land 3 precisions, your magazine is refilled from the ether. It does not pull from reserves. Once you have fully upgraded the Masterwork Catalyst for Whisper of the Worm, you will get an increase to reload speed, and you will also get box breathing, which will give it significantly more damage, about 70% more damage to be exact. So taking a look at the Whisper of the Worm in action, we're going to test the DPS potential on the Walker tank, not by the leg breaks, but by shooting the core. You can see that I'm going to proc right white nail and not have to reload a single time, and just constantly pump rounds into this thing until it is dead in just a few short seconds. Now, granted, other people in the area were doing damage to the Walker tank as well, but still, that gives you an idea of the crazy potential that this weapon has. So let's go ahead and look at this clip in slow motion and see how much damage we're doing per shot. Now, as you can see on the core of the Walker tank, I'm doing 3,253 damage per shot. I'm able to get 8 rounds into the Walker tank's core before it is destroyed, and to take those 8 shots, it took me 6.11 seconds. That brings our total to 26,024 damage in 6.11 seconds. So when we divide our total shots taken and our total damage from those shots by the amount of time it took to take them, we see that we have a DPS, or damage per second, of 4,259. So let's take a second to recap and look at how I came to these numbers. With the Whisper of the Worm, I was doing 3,253 damage per shot. I fired 8 shots, totaling 26,024 damage. If I divide my total damage of 26,024 by 6.11 seconds, which is the time it took me to fire those shots, I have a number of 4,259 damage per second. Whisper DPS is 4,259 damage. Now there's a few things that I want to quickly point out. Number 1, Whisper of the Worm will get more damage or more DPS in a short amount of time once the exotic masterwork for it is fully unlocked. Like I said, it gives it box breathing, so you can increase the damage per shot by roughly 70% if it's anything like the Escalation Protocol Sniper that also has box breathing. Another thing that I want to point out is that this test is using the white nail perk flawlessly, meaning I don't miss a single crit and my rounds are constantly refilled to my magazine without actually taking away from my ammo. When you do that, you can literally shoot this thing forever, similar to Polaris Lance or, like I said earlier in the video, Black Hammer in Destiny 1. So now that we have all of our data for the Whisper of the Worm exotic sniper, let's go ahead and take a look at DARCI. DARCI features a 7-round magazine and 23 rounds total. It comes with short action stock, which increases handling, as well as target acquired, which when personal assistant is active, this weapon has a better target acquisition and deals significantly more precision damage. It also comes with extended mag, which allows you to carry 23 total rounds, extended barrel, which increases range and handling speed, and lastly, its exotic perk, Personal Assistant. Aim at an enemy through the scope to view an enemy's health and other critical information. Once you have fully upgraded the Masterwork Catalyst for DARCI, you can see that you do get a pretty nice bump to stability. So let's go ahead and take a look at DARCI in action. I'll be testing DARCI the same way that I tested Whisper of the Worm on the core of the Walker tank. I will also be using a Warlock Healing Rift with Lunafaction boots so that I do not have to reload the weapon and I can shoot continuously like I would be able to with the Whisper of the Worm. It's also worth noting that both of my characters, both Titan that I used Whisper of the Worm and the Warlock that I'm using DARCI with, are both 387 with the exact same weapons at the same power level that they are on each characters. So this is the same level DARCI as the same level Whisper of the Worm. Let's go ahead and take a look at the clip in slow motion. So looking at what DARCI does to the core, you can see that I take the time to lock on with Personal Assistant so that I get the increased precision damage, and shooting as quickly as I can while still maintaining the personal assistant trait, I'm doing 2,194 damage to the core of the walker tank per shot. I managed to fire a total of 18 rounds into the walker's core in 10.78 seconds. That gives me a total damage output of 39,492 over the course of that 10 seconds, which makes my DPS, or damage per second, 3,663. So let's recap and see how I came to those numbers. DARCI is dealing 2,194 damage per shot. I fired 18 shots at 2,194 damage, which totals 39,492 damage. If you take that 39,492 damage and divide it by the 10.78 seconds that it took me to fire, you come to 3,663 damage per second. DARCI's DPS is 3,663. So when we look at the two weapons side by side, you can see that Whisper of the Worm has a higher DPS. It is higher than DARCI by 596 damage points on the core of this walker tank. In addition to that, because Whisper of the Worm has the ability to pull ammo from the ether, meaning you can never run out of ammo as long as you're hitting precisions, then it just makes it an invaluable weapon to have. It is without a doubt the new DPS king, and like I said, it's going to get even better once we get box breathing. With DARCI, on the other hand, you're going to have to fire more shots, and you're going to run out of ammo, because it only has 23 and does not have the ability to pull ammo from the ether. In addition to that, with DARCI, the way that Personal Assistant locks onto an enemy, if you take your sights off of that enemy, you will lose that lock-on and have to redo it, meaning you'll have to reset your sights, hold them for a second, and then start shooting again for optimal DPS. So just to go ahead and recap everything really quickly, let's say that you have DARCI and you have Whisper of the Worm. There is virtually no reason for you to choose DARCI over Whisper unless it's something like a Nightfall or Heroic Strike that has Arc Burn and Heavyweight. In that instance, I would probably still use DARCI, but for literally everything else, I'm going to stick with Whisper of the Worm, just because of its potential DPS dealing abilities and the fact that I could potentially never run out of power ammo. It is all around one of the best exotics for DPS that we have ever seen in this game. If you have not gotten this, you need to get it. It will be back, I believe, next weekend at the time of recording this video, and I will have a strategy guide up for you guys here in the next few days. That's going to bring this video to an end, guys. Hopefully you found it interesting. If you did, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.